Well, we're going to start a new series from Craig Rochelle talking about how the time is now. Can you turn to your neighbor and tell them the time is now? Come on, turn to the other one and say the time is now. The time is now. And what I want you to do, if you would, open your Bible to the book of Haggai, or open your outline. If you're like, where in the world is Haggai? That's not Matthew. I can find Matthew. Where's Haggai? Haggai is after Zephaniah, before Zechariah. Does that help you?
No.
Thank God for outlines. Thank God for the internet, for Bible apps. You just type it in, and it finds it. But I want to talk to you this morning about how to make the hard right. How to make the hard right. And we're going to look at the book of Haggai. Maybe you're not as familiar with this passage of Scripture, and so I'm going to do a little bit of kind of going through it, giving a little background to the history of it. But maybe you are in a stage of life right now where you expected more. You expected life to be a little bit different than it is right now. Maybe when you were younger, and you thought, man, when I get to this age, and you're at that age right now, maybe if I get to this age, this is where my life is going to be, and this is what will be happening, and maybe you're in that position right now, and it doesn't look anything like what you thought it was going to look like. You know, maybe you're in college, and you think, okay, well, maybe, after I graduate, then things are going to get going, and things are going to get better, and that happens, and sometimes things don't happen on our timeline or the way we expected. Maybe you got married and you thought, okay, well, I get married, then things are going to turn around for me, and things are going to start to get better, and you got married, but it didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to work out. Maybe you thought, well, if I just have kids, and that'll help, kids will fill the void. Seasoned mom is laughing. Kids will fill the void in my life, and now you're just busy and broke. Or you thought, religion. Maybe if I just, come to church. I tried God, but I expected more. I expected something different. I thought at this point, there would be something more. Well, this was the general mood of the time when Haggai was written, and they thought there would be a different shape. They thought the people thought they would be in a different kind of mode, a different kind of shape than they were in. And so let me just give you a little bit of backstory to it. This is the fourth year of King Solomon's reign. King Solomon, the wise guy, right? The fourth year of King Solomon's reign they started building this magnificent temple. I mean, just this beautiful temple that all over the world at that time, where people would travel and they would offer worship to God. It was like the place to go. It was beautiful and just wonderfully made. Well, after King Solomon's death, the people got distracted. How many know we tend to get distracted sometimes, right? That's what people do. And after King Solomon's death, people got distracted, and they started, instead of worshiping God, the one true God, they started worshiping idols. And so because they kind of got all messed up, God allowed a series of events to take place to pull the people's hearts back to himself. Because sometimes, guys, if we choose to turn our back on God and to go in a different direction and start doing things we know we shouldn't be doing, then we walk away from God's protection. I like it, we can liken it like this, God doesn't leave us, but we can leave God, right? And if we choose to leave God, we walk away from his protection, we walk away from his guidance, we walk away from his blessing. He's there when we want to come back. But we're the ones who chose to leave. And this is what happened during this time. So God allowed a series of events to take place to kind of wake them up. And in 587 BC, King Nebuchadnezzar and his army crushed the southern kingdom of Judah. And they also destroyed the temple. So not only did they just go in there, wipe out the people, crush them, they also wanted to rub it in a little bit, and they destroyed the temple, stripping away the spiritual identity of the Jewish people. Just they wanted to take it hardcore to them. And so the Jews were taken into captivity for decades. For actually 5 decades, for 50 years. Really, it was more like 70 because they were in captivity prior to that. And so we think, okay, we read that, and we're like, okay, 50 years, okay, they were in captivity, all right, we move on. But I want to give a little bit of modern context to this, okay? Because sometimes you have to put yourself in the Word, and you have to kind of make it, kind of liken it to modern times in order to feel the extent of what was actually taking place and what was actually occurring. And so if we can kind of put it in modern context, and we can say, imagine that an enemy nation of our nation, an enemy nation develops nuclear power, and they say, you know what, we're going to take out 5 major U.S. cities and 10 cities of your allied countries unless your government surrenders to us. Okay? Unless your government surrenders to us. So the government, the president, the staff, the Congress, they all meet and they say, you know what, we can't retaliate, we got to surrender. That seems like the only way that we can do this. And so they surrender, and suddenly you and I are no longer citizens of our nation, but we are captive to someone else. We can't worship as we want. We can't go where we want. We can't do what we want. And that's all we know for 50 years. Your children are born into this captivity. That's all they know. The worst nightmares have now come true. And so then, after this 50-year reign here of being enslaved and captive, then there's some good news. In 538 BC, they said about 50,000 people were allowed to travel back to Jerusalem, the capital of Judah, to rebuild. So they were given authority to go back to their homeland and to rebuild the temple. And they said, okay, here, you guys go do it. And finally, we're thinking here, after 5 decades, we get to go back home. We get to rebuild a place for our God. We get to get back to some sort of normalcy for our children and for our families. And we can go back. We're allowed to go back and do this. And so what happens? They go back and they start rebuilding. And they build the foundation. And they built the altar. And then these Samaritan guys came and posed them. And they think, oh man, this just got hard. We were doing okay as long as nobody was coming against us. We were doing all right as long as nobody was opposing us. But now it's hard. These guys are coming against us. It must not be the right time because it's not easy for us to do. And that's kind of what they thought. And so 14 years they had worked, and they put the project on hold then. No progress, no prayers, no effort, and instead they started working on their own things, building their own houses, and forgot about God's house because things got hard, so they stopped. God raised up Haggai to call the people back to the task. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
If not, we're moving on anyway, so. There's humor in this verse that I want to read. In Haggai, we're going to look at the several verses here, chapter 1, verse 2 starting. And there's some humor here, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But this is what happened. It says, this is what the Lord Almighty says. These people, come on, you can say it. These people say, the time has not yet come to rebuild the Lord's house. These people say that the time has not yet come to rebuild the Lord's house. Why do they say that? Because it has some opposition, so it must not be the right time, because it's hard. It's hard. Almost everywhere else in the Old Testament, when God talks about his people, he says, my people, right? But in this passage, he says, These people. How many of you are married and your child does something crazy? Okay, let's just say you're the wife. And and your husband walks in and your child's whatever, a mess or something, and you say, your son just did this, right? We're like, he's not my son. He's my son when he's nice. He's your son when he's acting a fool.
Amen.
So God, this is kind of what he's doing here. He's like, these people. Because he's kind of fed up. You know, God gets fed up. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
Read the Bible. He gets fed up. He says, these people. Do you know what your kids did? These people. These people say the time is not yet come to rebuild the Lord's house. Again, why do they think that? Opposition, difficulty. Someone was opposing them. And so they thought, oh my goodness, I can't. Must not be God's timing. Must not be what God wants right now. Because things are a little difficult. If it was God, then I'd be smooth sailing. Again, what Bible are you reading? Because if I open my Bible and I read, I see where God called them to something, and there was mighty warfare against them, right? Because what does the Word of God say? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness, right? In the heavenly realms, there's spiritual warfare that is going on right now. If God allowed us to open up our spiritual eyes right now and to see into the heavenlies, we would see a war raging for our souls.
Right.
There would be a war raging for your children's souls, for this country, for this world. There is a battle, there is a war going on right now in the spiritual realm. And when there's a battle, things can get difficult.
Yeah.
The enemy can oppose you.
Yeah.
The enemy can use somebody else in a physical form to oppose you, right? And so that's what's happening here. But we need to understand, I want to tell you some truth this morning.
Amen.
We need to understand that the closer you get to doing what God wants, the more opposition you will face.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Don't worry when I face opposition. Oh my goodness, I'm facing opposition. I can't believe I thought I was a child of God. I thought God had my back. I thought I was going to go through this smooth sailing. No, don't worry when I face opposition. Worry when you don't face opposition. Can I get an amen on that one? Worry when you don't face opposition. Don't worry when people are opposing you. Worry when no one's opposing you. I came to preach.
Preach it.
You can hear or not, but this is the word of God. And I feel like we as Christians, we get tired. Because we're still in our physical state. We still have our emotions. We still are working with this brain that don't always work right. Right? They don't always think right. And we can get into a state where we're fatigued. And that fatigue turns and we start to think things that we should not think. And we start to think that God has somehow left us or God has somehow, dangled us out over the ledge just to leave us. And we can think because I'm facing this opposition, because things are hard right now, then something must be wrong. I must not be in God's will. I must be doing something wrong, or God must have left me. God must have forsaken me. Because why is this happening? But I want to tell you, when you are on the road of salvation and you are doing what God has called you to do, you will face opposition. You will face struggle. You will face the enemy. And he is out to get you. So knowing, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do when things get challenging? What are we supposed to do when opposition comes? Well, I'm going to tell you this morning, with God's help, because you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
But with God's help, choose the hard right over the easy wrong.
Amen. Amen.
Choose the hard right. You can write it down if you want. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong. You know, it's easy to keep your sin a secret. It's hard and it's right to confess and ask for help. It's easy to keep charging and buying what you want. It's hard and it's right to deny yourself and start living and being good stewards of what God has given you. It's easy to hold a grudge. It's hard and it's right to forgive as Christ forgave. It's easy to follow the crowd. It's hard and it's right to not conform and to be different. It's easy to get discouraged when people are against you. It's easy to throw in the towel, say I quit, this isn't what I signed up for, I'm done. It's hard and it's right to keep going. Throughout your life, God's going to stir things inside of you. And He's going to ask you to make some decisions. He's going to ask you to do some things. There might be big things or there might be little things or in between, whatever. And we have to choose, do I want to do the easy wrong? Or do I want to do the hard right?
Amen.
And I want you to ask yourself this morning, is there some unfinished assignment in your life? And I want you, as you're asking the Lord this, I want you then to experience this message through the lens of that unfinished assignment, whatever it might be. Could have been something that happened yesterday. God told you to do, you didn't do it. Might be something that happened 14 years ago that you should have done, but you didn't do it, and God is bringing it back, and He's saying the time is now. Might be to serve in church. You know, it's so funny. People think like, you know, I kind of felt like, you know, God told me to you know, I don't know, to serve in children's ministry. I don't think that was God. I think that was the devil. Get behind me, Satan. You know, we think, what is he doing? And we think the devil's going to tell you to serve in church. No, honey, the devil ain't going to tell you to serve in church. All right? So stop making excuses for yourself. But maybe God's called you to serve in some, capacity. Start a ministry. Maybe God called you to lead someone to Christ. Maybe there's a family member that, you just really feel like you need to start talking to them about Christ. And you haven't done it. And God's saying the time is now. Maybe there's something that God called you to give away. And you never gave it away. And He's saying the time is now. Maybe God called you to start, journaling. Start getting into the Word a little bit more. The time is now. And maybe when God laid those things on your heart, you felt like it was a burden. What we talked about, the previous weeks here in the previous series, that sometimes, there's a divine burden that comes on us, and it's of God. And there's conviction from the Holy Spirit that is plucking at our hearts to do something. And there's a divine burden that God has placed there. And it's from God, but we didn't do it. And for many of you, God may speak to you, and He may tell you, the time is now. I gave you opportunity before. You didn't take it. Let's put that aside. Take it now. The time is now. And so I want you to look at the rest of this message through that lens. The time is now. And let's look at verse 3, 4, and 5 here in Haggai. And this is what Scripture says. It says that the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai. to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains in ruin? He said, now this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. Now, living in paneled houses, commentary on that kind of says that's kind of like high-end living. And God's not against you having nice things. He is against us putting nice things before Him.
Right.
And He says, give careful thought to your ways. In one area of your life, and don't just dismiss that. Really allow the Holy Spirit to look. In one area of your life, maybe you're not putting God first in that area. Maybe you come to church and you look like you got it together and you serve God, but maybe there's an area in your life that you're not putting Him first in. And a lot of people choose comfort over calling. And they think, okay, well, I love Jesus, but I just want to live a normal life. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to do my thing. I love Jesus, but I don't want to get out of the box. And we choose our house over His. Maybe we're consumed with self rather than being consumed for others. I'm more concerned about making a name for myself over making a difference. And God says to them in verse 6 here, and I tell you, 500 years before Christ, this was taking place, but maybe you could have written it for today. That's what's cool about the Bible. And He says here in verse 6, He says, you have planted much, but harvested little. You eat, but you never have enough. You drink, but you never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages, only to put them in a purse with holes in it. What's the modern translation for that? Let me tell you. It's like He's saying, you're working your tail off, but you're not satisfied. You're earning money, but you never have any left. You have more than you've ever had, but you still don't feel like you have enough. You have fun. You go out, you see movies, you have friends, you go do this, you go do that. You've acquired more, you've accomplished more, but you still feel empty. And Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you? And in verse 7 and 8, it goes on, and this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. Are you putting your house ahead of God's, in other words? And He says there's a 3-step program here. Go up into the mountains and bring down the timber and build my house, so that I might take pleasure in it and be honored, says the Lord. Go to the mountain, bring down the timber, build my house. Go to the mountain, bring down the timber, and build my house. Let me say it. Go to the mountain, bring down the timber, and build my house. That may be sounding overwhelming. Go up to the mountain. The mountain's hard.
Right.
That's hard. God, I don't have the right shoes. You want me to go up to the mountain?
Sorry.
That's difficult. I like it down here. I don't go up there. He says, go to the mountain. Bring down the timber and build my house. Go to the mountain. I'm going to say it till you feel it. Bring down the timber and build my house. What's he saying here? You're going to do this step, and then you're going to take this step, and then you're going to take this step. Here's 1, 2, 3. We say, God, what about 4, 5, 6? What about step 4, 5, and 6? You know, who's going to pay for this? I need details, God. Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to do all the work? Who's going to see it to get that? Who's going to do this? And who's going to? And I need a little bit of details. And God tells us sometimes you can't handle the details.
Right.
Leave the details to me. Go to the mountain, bring down the timber, build my house. How do you follow God's will? Step by step. Amen. Can you say it with me? Step by step. Say it again. Step by step. You choose the hard right over the easy wrong. How do I just bring it down? How do I get my finances in order? Well, let's take it step by step. Get some help. Get somebody who knows what they're doing. Get some help. Live on a budget. Climb out of debt. Step by step by step. How do I take care of my body? Well, eat right. Exercise. Honor God with your body. Right? Step by step by step. How do I get my marriage from crumbling? Well, humble yourself. Repent of any sins that might be there. Do what you did before you were married to get her to marry you. Just saying, right?
Amen.
Step by step by step. I'm going to give something that if you take it to heart, it will change. It will change you. It will change you if you take what I'm going to say to heart. Think, well, she says that. No, I'm telling you, if you take this to heart, it will change you, and you will be propelled into God's will for your life. And here it is. The way to get started is to quit talking and start doing.
Yeah.
Woo! Come on, somebody. The way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. Because I'm going to tell you, sometimes when we start to talk about everything, and we think, okay, man, this needs to be done, and this needs to be done, and this needs to be done. We start to get it all together, and we're like, okay, man, I can't, we can get to the place where our talking actually stops us, paralyzes us from moving forward. Because when we start to continue to talk about it, continue to talk about it, continue to talk about it, and well, I need to do this, and I have to do this, and I need to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I can't believe she didn't do this, and isn't that her job? And and we can start to get an idea like, man, this is too much for me to carry. This is too much for me to do. And we're just talking, nothing ever gets done. Start doing. And now we talked about last week, just start something. Start it. Do it. God will lead you. God will guide you. If you mess up, humble yourself, get back up, and start it again. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong.
Amen.
The Bible says, your word is a lamp to my feet, right? And a light to my path. We talked about this before. It's not some big old spotlight, right? It's a lamp. And God will shine the next step right ahead of you as you take it. You might not be able to see the whole path, but you can see the step.
Right.
And I take the next step. And I take the next step. And I take the next step until I've reached the place that God has called me to be. But it starts there. I have to take a step. If I'm standing and talking about it all the time, I'm not moving. Maybe you need to shock somebody and stop talking about it and just start doing it. The Bible says we walk by the Spirit. Amen? We walk by the Spirit. That means there's going to be things that I don't understand. And there's going to be steps that he tells me to take, and I'm like, Lord, I don't know. Are you sure? Right? But that's why we walk by the Spirit. We walk by faith, not by sight. If we were walking by sight, wouldn't get anything done.
Right.
But God has called us to greatness. And he's called us to do something awesome for him. And he's called us to live outside of the box. Meaning, what do I mean by that? That's a cliche term that we use, but I don't know if we always understand what it really is meaning. What I mean by that is we need to get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we need to start taking steps of faith that God has called us to take, to move in the right direction for him. Start doing something for him. The time is now. The time is now. And here's what happens. The outcome is God's job. Stop worrying about the outcome. We lose time thinking about the outcome. Precious, precious time. The outcome is God's job. Obedience is your job.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen?
Yes.
Do what God says, and he'll work it out.
Yeah. Right.
Obedience is your job. Mark, you get that CD ready? Obedience is your job. And it starts with the first step that you take. Amen? Would you stand with me this morning?
Sam's not here.